I overheard my family calling me an idiot ATM, so I secretly bought their house and made them pay me rent at market price. I'm a 28-year-old female who grew up in what you'd call a normal middle-class family. We weren't poor or anything, but my parents were always complaining about bills and how expensive everything was. They'd make these comments like, "Must be nice to have extra money," whenever we'd see people with nice stuff. I kind of grew up thinking being rich was this impossible dream. But then I got lucky, I guess. During college, I started this small online business selling custom phone cases with my designs. Nothing special at first, just trying to make some extra money between classes. But then some influencer randomly shared one of my designs, and overnight, my little store blew up, like really blew up. By the time I was 25, I was making more money than my dad, who'd been working the same office job for like 20 years. It was weird at first, like I didn't know what to do with all the money coming in. My parents always taught me to be responsible with money, so I wasn't out buying designer stuff or fancy cars. At first it just felt good to help out my family. My parents' house needed a new roof, like $8,000, and I was like, I got this. The look on their faces was amazing. My dad almost cried. Then my sister's car broke down and needed like $2,500 in repairs. I paid for that too. Then my brother got laid off and couldn't make rent, so I covered him. For just a few months, which turned into like a year and a half, lol. Pretty soon, it became the new normal that I would pay for everything. Every time we went out to eat as a family, everyone just assumed I'd get the bill. Christmas came around, and they expected me to buy amazing gifts while they gave me $20 gift cards to Starbucks. When my parents almost lost their house because they were behind on mortgage payments, I helped them refinance and started sending them money every month to help out. My boyfriend, we've been together 3 years, started pointing stuff out that I didn't want to see, like how they never even offered to pay anymore, or how they'd order the most expensive thing on the menu when I was paying, but would complain about prices if they thought they had to pay. I just made excuses like, they're still adjusting to me having money, or they've helped me my whole life, it's my turn to help them. But things got weird about 3 months ago. My cousin, who I was never super close with, started texting my boyfriend. At first, it was just normal stuff, but then she got flirty and started sending him pics that were inappropriate. My boyfriend showed me everything, and I was shocked but still tried to make excuses like, maybe she's just being friendly, or maybe she doesn't realize how it comes across. But then my boyfriend dropped the bomb. Your cousin also told me that your whole family thinks you're an idiot, that you're so stupid for not noticing they're just using you for your money. I freaking lost it, but not at my family, at my boyfriend. Can you believe that? I literally accused him of making it up to cause problems. We had this huge fight where I said horrible stuff to him about being jealous of my family. He slept on the couch for like a week. I was convinced he was lying, but then I started noticing little things I hadn't let myself see before. How my mom would roll her eyes when I talked about my business achievements. How my dad would immediately change the subject if I talked about anything except how much money I was making. How conversations would suddenly stop when I walked into a room, and then they'd start asking me about how business is going with these weird fake smiles. Little comments started to stand out too. My brother joking about how I was his retirement plan, my sister asking if she was in my will, my parents talking about this vacation they deserved and looking at me expectantly. My boyfriend and I made up after I realized he might be onto something. Just watch them more carefully, he suggested. See if I'm right. So I started paying more attention to how my family acted when they thought I wasn't looking, the looks they'd give each other when I offered to pay for something, the way they'd talk about me to other people, always focusing on my money, never on me as a person or my accomplishments. I overheard my sister on the phone once saying, "Yeah, she'll definitely pay for it. She pays for everything. It's almost too easy." I pretended I didn't hear, but it hurt so bad. The worst part was realizing how long this had probably been going on, like years of them seeing me as nothing but a paycheck on legs, years of them laughing behind my back about how stupid I was for not seeing it. Was I really that desperate for their approval? I guess I was. Growing up, I was always the disappointing kid, not as athletic as my brother, not as popular as my sister. My parents always made me feel like I wasn't quite good enough. So when I finally had something they valued, money, I clung to their approval like it was oxygen. But something was building inside me, this mix of anger and hurt that kept growing. I had a feeling I knew the answer, and it made me sick to my stomach, but I needed proof. I needed to know for sure if my boyfriend was right or if I was just being paranoid. Then my dad's birthday rolled around last month. I figured it might be the perfect chance. We always do this big family dinner at their house, the same house that I basically saved from foreclosure last year when I helped them refinance. I was running late because of this super important call with a potential business partner in Japan. Time zones suck, but I texted my mom that I was on my way. When I got there, I used my key to let myself in. They gave me a key years ago so I could drop by any time, but honestly, I think they just wanted me to be able to drop off money and stuff without them having to answer the door. Anyway, I could hear everyone in the dining room laughing really loud. I was about to walk in and say hi when I heard my dad say my name. "She'll pay for it," he was saying. "She always does. Just tell her we need it for the plumbing or something." Everyone started laughing again. "God, she's so easy to manipulate," my sister said. I literally froze right there in the hallway, like my feet wouldn't move. My heart was pounding so hard I swear they could have heard it from the dining room. You know what's crazy? That was my cousin, the same one who tried to hit on my boyfriend. She actually thinks we respect her. Like having money makes up for being such an idiot. She's so stupid for not noticing. My brother added, and I could practically hear him rolling his eyes. "We've been doing this for years. We'll keep her clueless," my mom said, and this was the worst part because she always pretended to be so supportive of me. As long as she signs checks, who cares? She's too much of an idiot to ever figure it out. Then they all started laughing again. Not just little chuckles, but full-on cackling. They were literally laughing at how stupid they thought I was. My own freaking family. I couldn't breathe, like, seriously? I felt like someone had just punched me in the chest. I was shaking, and I could feel tears coming, but I was also so angry I wanted to scream. I wanted to storm in there and confront all of them. Flip the table over like in those Instagram memes. But then I had this weird moment of clarity. If I confronted them, they'd just apologize, make up excuses, tell me they didn't mean it. And then in a few weeks, things would go back to normal. They'd be more careful about what they said around me, but nothing would really change. So instead, I quietly backed up, went outside, and called my boyfriend. "You were right," I whispered, trying not to cry too loud in case they could hear me outside. "About everything. They're using me. They think I'm an idiot." He didn't say, "I told you so," which is one of the reasons I love him. He just said, "I'm sorry. What do you want to do?" I thought about it for a second, trying to get my brain to work through all the emotions. "I have an idea, but I need time to set it up. Can you call my mom and tell her I got held up at work and can't make dinner?" He did, made up some story about how I had an emergency with a big client. My mom called me later, all concerned, asking if everything was okay with my business. Now I could hear the fake concern in her voice. She wasn't worried about me, she was worried about her meal ticket having problems. For the next 2 weeks I put on the performance of my life. I pretended nothing had changed. I smiled through Sunday lunch, answered my sister's texts asking for money for car. Insurance, yeah, right. Listened to my brother's sob story about needing first. And last month's rent for a new apartment because his roommate unexpectedly moved out, probably got sick of my brother not paying his share of rent. I kept playing the role of the clueless cash cow, but inside I was seething. Every fake smile, every "love you too" at the end of a call. Every time I had to pretend. I didn't know what they really thought of me. It was like swallowing poison. But I had a plan. For me, the whole time I was making notes of all the financial stuff I was handling for my family, my parents' mortgage, $1,600 a month. I was paying $800, my sister's car insurance, $300 a month, probably going straight to her vacation fund, my brother's temporary rent help, $1,200 a month, going on 18 months. Now family dinners averaging about $500 a week. Random emergencies averaging maybe $1,000 a month. That's over $5,000 a month I was handing over to people who were literally laughing at me behind my back. And the thing is, none of them needed my money. My parents both had decent jobs. My sister was always posting on Instagram about her shopping sprees but claimed she couldn't afford her car insurance. My brother was constantly buying new gaming equipment but couldn't pay his rent. They weren't poor, they were just greedy, and I was their golden goose. The hardest part was keeping up the act around my boyfriend. He knew I was upset, but I didn't tell him about my plan yet. I was afraid he might try to talk me out of it, or think it was too extreme. But the more I thought about what they'd said, the more certain I became that I needed to do something dramatic. Every time I started to feel guilty about what I was planning, I'd remember their laughter, their mockery, the years of manipulation. I've always been a planner, it's why my business succeeded. I never make impulsive decisions. I analyze, strategize, and then execute. And that's exactly what I was going to do with my family. They thought I was stupid? Fine. I'd play stupid, but I'd be the one laughing in the end. I spent those 2 weeks doing research online, making calls to professionals, gathering documents. I had to be careful. I didn't want anyone in my family to suspect anything was up. I even continued to transfer money to them as usual, knowing it would be the last time. The foundation of my plan centered on one key fact: my parents' house, the house they almost lost. Before I stepped in, the house they could still lose if I stopped helping them with the mortgage. But just stopping payments didn't give me enough satisfaction, it was too expected. I wanted something with more impact. My boyfriend could tell something was up. "You're quiet lately," he said one night while we were watching TV. "Still thinking about what they said?" "Just processing," I told him. It wasn't completely a lie. "Whatever you decide to do, I'm with you," he said, squeezing my hand. "Those people don't deserve you." In that moment, I realized what real support feels like. Not the fake encouragement my family gave me when they wanted something, but genuine, "I've got your back" support. It made me even more determined to go through with my plan. But what my family didn't know was that when I paid off my parents' second mortgage, they were actually just 3 months away from foreclosure. Their finances were a complete disaster. They'd taken out way too many loans, trying to keep up with their richer friends and neighbors. Classic keeping up with the Joneses situation. I knew all this because when I helped them refinance, I went through all their paperwork. I'm not an accountant or anything, but I'm good with numbers, had to be to run my business. So, I knew exactly how much they owed, who they owed it to, and how bad their credit scores were. So, I called my business attorney. I've had the same lawyer since I started my company, and she's awesome. I explained the situation, minus the emotional stuff, and asked about the legality of what I wanted to do. She gave me some advice and connected me with a real estate attorney. Turns out, when you have good credit and actual cash on hand, banks are super willing to work with you. Like, they practically trip over themselves to help. I contacted my parents' mortgage company and made them an offer I'd buy the house outright in cash for the remaining balance of the mortgage. This was actually a really good deal for the bank. They got all their money without having to worry about my parents defaulting again. And since my parents hadn't actually paid off much of the principal, they'd mostly been paying interest, it was kind of a steal for me. The house was worth way more than what was left on the mortgage. The bank said yes so fast it was almost funny. We did the paperwork quickly and quietly. I didn't want my parents to find out, not yet anyway. I created an LLC to buy the house. This way, my name wouldn't be directly on any paperwork they might see. Within 10 days, I was the legal owner of my parents' house. They had no idea. At the same time, I went through all my accounts and credit cards, removing my family members as authorized users. I had added them years ago to help build their credit. LOL, what a joke. I canceled the automatic transfers I'd set up for my brother's temporary rent help. Going on 18 months now. I changed all my passwords, my online banking info, everything. I even opened a new bank account at a different bank for my main funds. Then came the tricky part. I didn't want to just cut them off abruptly. That would be too obvious. Instead, I started what I called Operation Confusion, basically gaslighting the gaslighters. For my sister's credit card payments, I set up technical glitches. I'd text her stuff like, "Sorry, the bank said there was an error with the transfer. I'll try again tomorrow." Then tomorrow would come with another excuse. "That's weird. It's still not going through. Let me call them on Monday." I kept stringing her along, making her think it was just technical difficulties. For my brother's rent money, I told him I switched banks and the transfers were taking longer than expected. "Don't worry," I assured him, "it'll be there soon." Obviously a lie. But my masterpiece was the plan for my parents' mortgage. About 2 weeks after I bought their house, I had my lawyer send them an official-looking letter saying their mortgage had been sold, which was technically true. The letter explained that all future payments should be made to Wellington Properties, and included a bill for the first month's payment, due in full in 10 days. I made sure I was having coffee with my mom when the letter arrived. She opened it while we were sitting at her kitchen table, my kitchen table now, but she didn't know that yet. "What's this?" she said, staring at the letter. Her face went all pale and panicky as she read it. My dad grabbed it from her. "This says our mortgage has been sold to Wellington Properties LLC. Who the hell is that?" I put on my most confused face. "Acting skills, level 100. That's weird. Let me see." I took the letter, pretending to read it carefully, even though I'd helped write it. "Oh, this happens sometimes. Banks sell mortgages to other companies. It's normal. But what about our payment?" my mom asked, panicking. "You said you took care of it this month." I furrowed my brow, playing dumb. "I tried to. Maybe the payment went to the old company. Let me call them." I pretended to make some calls in the other room. When I came back, I looked worried. "So, there's a problem. The old bank says they transferred your account to this Wellington place, so they can't accept the payment, and Wellington says you're already late on your first payment to them." "This is ridiculous," my dad shouted. "We've never even heard of these people." I know, I said soothingly. "Look, don't worry, I'll figure it out. I just need to find out where to send the money now." My parents calmed down a bit. They still believed I'd bail them out, just like always. The stupid daughter would fix everything. I let my parents stew for another week. During that time, Wellington Properties, sent another letter. This one was more serious. Pay within 10 days, or eviction proceedings would begin. You should have seen my parents' faces when that letter came. They were freaking out. "Can't you just call these Wellington people and pay them?" my mom begged. "I've been trying," I lied. "They're not returning my calls. It's like they want to foreclose or something." My dad punched a wall, actually made a hole in the drywall. "Those vultures." I suggested they try calling themselves. Of course, the number went to a very professional-sounding voicemail that I recorded, LOL, that never returned calls. I left them trying to decide what to do after I fucked up their minds. You never expect what idiots are capable of. The next day, they called a family meeting. Everyone showed up, my brother, my sister, even my cousin, the one who hit on my boyfriend. They looked worried. "We're about to lose the house," my dad announced. Everyone started talking at once, panicking. "What happened? How is that possible? Where will you live?" My dad explained about Wellington Properties. My sister immediately looked at me. "Can't you do something? Buy the house back or something?" I shrugged. "I don't have that kind of cash just sitting around. I'd have to sell stocks or liquidate some business assets, and that would take time. Wellington wants an answer in 24 hours. "But you've always helped before," my brother said accusingly. "I know, and I've tried. But this is different. They want $1,800 a month for rent, and that is on top of everything else I'm already helping everyone with." The room got quiet, real quiet. For the first time, my family was facing the possibility that the gravy train might be coming to an end. "Maybe," my sister started, then stopped. "Maybe we could all chip in, like if everyone in the family contributed something each month." I wanted to laugh. Now they were thinking about contributing. After years of taking and taking? "That's actually not a bad idea," I said, pretending to consider it. "How much could each of you contribute?" My sister squirmed in her seat. "Well, I'm a little tight right now with my own rent and bills." My brother was more direct. "I can barely cover my own place, you know that." My cousin just stared at her phone, pretending not to hear. "So, you want me to cover it all again?" I said, letting a little edge come into my voice. "Not forever," my dad jumped in, "just until we figure something out." "Like you figured out the mortgage?" I couldn't help asking. "The one I've been helping with for the past 2 years?" The room got uncomfortable. My family wasn't used to me pushing back. "We're family," my mom said, playing the guilt card. "We've always supported each other." I had to bite my tongue to keep from saying what I really thought about their support. In the end, my parents signed the lease. They scraped together the security deposit by selling some stuff, including the expensive watch I'd bought my dad for Christmas last year. That felt good. They thought this was temporary, just until they figured something out, or until I came to my senses and bought the house for them. They had no idea that their landlord was sitting right across the dinner table from them. Phase 2 of my plan was complete. Now it was time for slowly cutting off the rest of the financial support, without them suspecting it was intentional. For the next few weeks, I kept playing the technical difficulties card. They were getting frustrated, but they still didn't suspect what was really happening. They thought it was just a bunch of coincidences, technical glitches, banking errors. They still saw me as the reliable idiot who would eventually fix everything. I don't know how they didn't notice. God, they're so naive. Little by little, the pressure was building. My parents struggling to pay rent on a house they used to own. My sister having to actually budget her own money for once. My brother facing the possibility of having to get a real job. And through it all, I kept playing dumb. I'm trying to fix it, I'd say. The banks are being so difficult. You guys have no idea. It was so satisfying watching them squirm. And the best part? They still had no idea what was coming next. And that's where I am right now. I'm getting a little too excited to see their faces when they know the truth. I'll keep you all updated. Final update. Hey Reddit. Sorry for taking a few days to update. Things have been wild over here. Thanks for all the supportive comments and messages. Some of you have been asking if my family found my posts. No, they don't know my Reddit username, thank God, and I've changed enough details that they wouldn't recognize themselves anyway. Here's what happened next. With the house situation resolved, my family started noticing all the other financial support that had mysteriously dried up. It was like watching dominoes fall one by one. My mom started dropping hints about selling my car, which was paid off, to help them out. My sister suggested I take out a loan. My brother thought I should cut back on unnecessary expenses. Rich, coming from Mr. PlayStation 5. None of them ever suggested they might need to permanently change their lifestyles. They all just assumed this was temporary until I fixed things. About 2 months in, things got really tense. My family was really struggling financially for the first time in years. My parents had always made decent money, but they'd gotten used to having my extra cash to fund their keeping up with the Joneses lifestyle. They invited me over for dinner one night. It was nothing fancy, just pasta, a far cry from the expensive steaks and seafood they used to make when I was paying. I brought my boyfriend along for moral support and as a witness to whatever was about to go down. Halfway through dinner, my dad cleared his throat. We've been thinking about the house. Yeah? I said, twirling pasta on my fork. Well, we know you've been trying to help with this Wellington company, but maybe there's another solution. I raised my eyebrows. Like what? Like, maybe you could buy the house from them. My mom jumped in, trying to sound casual, but I could hear the desperation. You have the money, and then we could work out some arrangement between us, family to family. My boyfriend stiffened beside me. He knew what was coming. So, you want me to buy the house? I said slowly. And then what? Let you live here for free? Well, not for free, my dad backpedaled. Maybe just a small amount, whatever we can afford. Which is what, half of what you're paying Wellington? I asked. They looked at each other. Something like that, my mom said hopefully. I put down my fork. And why would I do that? They seemed genuinely confused by the question, like it had never occurred to them that I might say no. Because we're family, my dad said. Like it was the most obvious thing in the world. You've always helped us before. And that's when I decided it was game over. Time for the truth to hit like a truck. I leaned back and said, you know what's funny about family? It's supposed to be about love, support, not about calling me stupid or an idiot while you're laughing behind my back. Silence, like I just drop-kicked the air out of the room. Their faces, ghost white. You'd think I summoned a demon. What are you talking about? My mom whispered, her voice shaking. I locked eyes with her, calm, cold, deadly. I heard you at Dad's birthday dinner. Every word, how I'm easy to manipulate, how my sister took my money for car repairs but partied in Cancun instead, how I was too stupid to notice you were all using me. You could hear a pin drop, actually scratch that. You could hear their dignity crash landing. You heard that? My dad finally croaked, his voice dry like sandpaper. Every damn word, I shot back, including Mom's little gem about keeping me clueless as long as I kept signing checks. Solid advice, by the way. Too bad it didn't age well. They looked like they were about to throw up. My boyfriend was trying so hard not to laugh I thought he'd pop a vein. We didn't mean, my mom stuttered. I cut her off so fast it felt surgical. Oh, and another thing, Wellington Properties? Hi, that's me. I own it. I bought this house. I'm your landlord. I didn't know you guys were that idiotic that you didn't even notice. If I thought they looked pale before, this was next level. Their jaws dropped so hard, I half expected them to shatter the floor tiles. Honestly, I should have filmed it. That's not possible, my dad sputtered, eyes wide like I'd just confessed to being Batman. I pulled out my phone, slid it across the table like a final boss move. The email was right there. Deed transfer, Wellington Properties LLC, owned by yours truly. How? My mom whispered, looking like the world had just ended. I shrugged, casual, cool, deadly. Turns out, I'm not as dumb as you thought. Running my own business taught me a thing or two, like how to buy a house out from under people who treat me like dirt. Under the table, my boyfriend squeezed my hand, proud, solid, mine. So, all this time, my dad struggled, words failing him. I tilted my head. All this time you've been paying rent to me, and you'll keep paying at market rate. No family discount. Or pack your stuff and find somewhere else, your choice. And then I stood, because I was done. My boyfriend stood with me, because he's a real one. We're leaving now. Oh, and rent's due on the 1st. Wellington Properties is a stickler for late fees. Might want to budget for that. I didn't bother looking back, but I heard my mom start to cry as I walked out. Part of me, yeah, it felt bad, but mostly I felt free, like I'd just torn off the last chain. In the car, my boyfriend finally let out the laugh he'd been holding in. That was the most badass thing I've ever seen. The look on their faces. I started laughing too, but mine wasn't just a laugh. It was years of rage, betrayal, frustration, all cracking open like a dam. I laughed until I cried. You okay? My boyfriend asked, his hand still in mine. I wiped my eyes and grinned. I'm better than I've been in years, and I meant it. For the first time in forever, I wasn't someone's ATM. I wasn't a walking paycheck. I wasn't their puppet. I was free. The aftermath was exactly what you'd expect, total chaos. They tried to claim I'd tricked them. Ironic much? My dad actually contacted a lawyer, who apparently told him there was nothing illegal about what I did. The mortgage sale was legitimate, the rental agreement was binding, and everything was done by the book. Then they tried the guilt trip route. My mom called me crying every day for like 2 weeks straight. How could you do this to your own parents? After everything we've done for you? We raised you better than this. I let most calls go to voicemail, but the few times I picked up, I stayed calm and just repeated, the rent is due on the 1st. Wellington Properties doesn't make exceptions. My sister and brother were furious when they realized I'd cut them off too. My sister actually had the nerve to text me, how could you do this to your own family? We've always been there for you. I replied, the same way you could call me an idiot while spending my money on vacations instead of car repairs. Also, when exactly were you there for me? Was it when you were laughing at me behind my back, or when you were using my credit card to buy designer clothes? She didn't have an answer for that. My cousin, the one who tried to hit on my boyfriend, spread rumors in the family that I was having some kind of mental breakdown. Money changed her. She's not the same person anymore. I blocked her number. Extended family I barely ever talked to started calling me, trying to talk sense into me. Funny how people who never made time for me before suddenly had so much to say. I let most of those calls go to voicemail too. In the end, reality hit them harder than I ever could. After a week of silent tension and awkward texts, they caved. My parents started paying rent. No discounts, no handouts, just cold hard cash like everyone else. The same parents who used to brag about how easy it was to get me to foot. Their bills were now negotiating payment plans with their own daughter. The irony? Delicious. They knew they had no choice, lose the house or pay up. Funny how fast loyalty fades when the money dries up. But hey, business is business, and this time, they're learning the hard way that I'm not just the family idiot, I'm the landlord. Through it all, my boyfriend was my rock. You're not crazy, he kept telling me. They're the ones who acted badly, not you. The hardest part was dealing with the guilt. Even though I knew I was right, years of being the family fixer made me feel responsible for their problems anyway. My boyfriend proposed last month. When he met my parents 2 years ago, they were living off my money and calling me an idiot behind my back. Now they're my tenants, slowly learning to respect me. Life is weird sometimes. I still don't know if I'll ever fully trust my family again. The hurt goes too deep, and some things can't be unsaid. But I'm open to seeing where this goes. Maybe over time, we can build something new, something based on actual respect rather than what I can give them. The biggest lesson I've learned? Sometimes, the people you help the most appreciate you the least. And sometimes, you have to be the bad guy to get treated right. I don't regret buying their house. I don't regret cutting them off financially. They needed to see me as a person, not a bank account. And I needed to value myself enough to demand that respect. So yeah, that's my story. I went from being the family ATM to being the family landlord. Not what I expected, But hey, at least now when they call, I know it's not just to ask for money. Or if it is, at least they're paying my mortgage now instead of the other way around. Edit. To the people saying I'm heartless. You try being called stupid and an idiot by the people who are supposed to love you most while they laugh about manipulating you for money. Then get back to me. Edit 1. Yes, my boyfriend knew about my plan the whole time. No, he didn't think it was too extreme. He actually helped me come up with some of the details because he saw firsthand how they treated me for years. And yes, he's awesome.